Hello my dear friends. You probably think your nighttime skincare routine is intense, but imagine slathering on powdered arsenic, hoping it gives you that perfect ivory glow without, killing you. Welcome to the world of Renaissance beauty, where elegance masked danger and glamour was often just a breath away from the grave. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Now, picture yourself standing in a marble hall lit by flickering candlelight. The air is thick with perfume and wax. Velvet hangs from the walls. You're dressed in stiff brocade, your face a smooth, ghostly canvas of white. The mirrors what few exist reflect back your perfection. But beneath that powdered glow, something sinister is happening. You probably once survived this. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You dip a puff into a porcelain bowl of white powder and dab it across your cheeks, forehead, chin. The dust is cool, silky, and clings like moonlight. You feel beautiful, untouchable, immortal. But the powder you've so lovingly applied is made from white leadies, a mineral mined, milled, and mixed with vinegar into a creamy paste known as Venetian ceruse. The elite swear by it. It's expensive, imported, and toxic in ways no one yet understands. Your skin absorbs it slowly. Day by day, you poison yourself with every application. Still, alabaster skin is the height of fashion. Tans are for field hands and fishmongers. Nobility must glow pale, untarnished by the sun, unspoiled by labour. Your face is your proof of leisure. The more ghostly your complexion, the more power you seem to hold. And it's not just the lead. Under that layer of powder is a battlefield. You've plucked, shaved, and waxed. Maybe even rubbed in mercury to erase blemishes, because nothing must break the illusion of flawlessness. Your pores scream. Your skin peels. But still you pat on another coat. The logic? In Renaissance thinking, beauty is divine. To be beautiful is to be closer to God. But it's also strategic. Your marriage prospects depend on it. Your place at court demands it. That chalky visage isn't vanity, it's armour. You glance at the other women in the gallery. Their faces, too, are white as death, cheeks artificially rouged, eyebrows plucked thin as threads. You're all locked in the same silent competition. Who can look the most effortless? Who can suffer the most invisibly? And let's talk about the cracks, literal ones. Venetian ceruse dries fast and brittle. Smile too wide, and your face fissures. You learn to control your expressions, laugh only with your eyes, tilt your head just so. Even joy becomes measured, mannered. To the outsider, you are elegance incarnate. But underneath, your skin is blistering. Your gums bleed. You feel faint, tired, forgetful. These are the symptoms of lead poisoning. But you've come to think of them as side effects of being noble. It's just the price you pay. Sometimes, your servants lay your face with raw egg whites before the powder, an early attempt at a primer. It tightens the skin, yes, but it also cracks when you talk, like drying glue. Again, you don't flinch. The illusion must hold. At court, the queen herself wears the same powder. You've heard the whispers, that after years of application, her skin has begun to slough, that her cheeks weep at night beneath the rouge. Still, no one dares to say a word. If the queen is doing it, it must be right. And in the end, this isn't about individual beauty. It's about social rank. You wear your face like a banner. You are not a commoner. You do not toil. You do not sweat. Your face says, I belong to the elite. And if that means slowly dissolving into a porcelain corpse, so be it. Even the men join in. Courtiers dust their faces, rouge their cheeks, paint their lips. Some even pluck their beards to maintain a youthful look. Everyone is striving toward the same pale perfection, even as their health erodes in tandem. The irony. All this effort, all this cost, all this suffering, and in candlelight, none of it matters. The dim glow softens everything. your powder, your perfect skin barely visible. But the illusion must hold, because your fellow nobles know. They can see your discipline, or your lack of it. When the powder runs out, you panic. It's hard to come by. Imported in secret, taxed to the heavens, mixed only by trained apothecaries. Some nobles go bankrupt chasing it. Others mix their own, using cheaper lead alternatives. The results are often grotesque: purple blotches, burning eyes, flesh that won't heal. And yet, the cycle continues. You scrub your face raw at night if you're lucky enough to have clean water and begin again in the morning. The whiteness must remain. The mask cannot slip. The next morning, you awaken in a haze. Your skin feels hot. Your eyes ache. You think it's fatigue. Maybe nerves. But it's the lead. Always the lead. You reach for the powder anyway, because to appear without it would be worse. To appear natural would be a disgrace. You glance into your warped mirror, tilting your head just right to catch the good side. There's a crack forming near your mouth. A small one. You dab more powder. You smile carefully. It's good enough. For now. But there's more to that smile than your skin. Isn't there? Let's wander a little closer to those gleaming teeth of yours. You flash a smiley unpracticed and poised, carefully measured to dazzle the courtiers watching your every move. Your teeth gleam like tiny pearls, a symbol of status and refinement. After all, a noble's smile must be flawless, a shining beacon of wealth and health. But beneath that polished facade, the truth is far less charming. The glamorous illusion is all about perfect, radiant teeth, white and straight, gleaming under the candlelight. But the reality, your mouth is a war zone. Cavities, tooth decay, and rotting gums are your constant companions. Sugar, a luxury only the rich could afford, is the main culprit. Those lavish feasts, filled with honeyed pastries and sweet wines, feed the bacteria munching away at your enamel. And no, there's no toothpaste here that actually works. Your teeth blacken and crumble, but you grin anyway. To hide the damage, you chew on sticks dipped in herbal concoctions, hoping to freshen your breath and stave off decay. You gargle with vinegar and salt, which only aggravates your raw, bleeding gums. Some nobles go a step further, having their teeth pulled to prevent the embarrassment of a blackened smile. Yes, it's painful and reckless, but a missing tooth covered with a golden cap or a decorative plate is still better than the alternative, showing your rot. Remember, hygiene was not what it is today. You don't brush or floss as we do now. The concept of germs doesn't exist yet. Instead, you rely on bitter rinses and chewing aromatic herbs, believing that if your breath smells pleasant, your mouth must be clean. Voila, it's not. Why endure this torture? Because to be noble means to appear flawless, and your teeth are no exception. A rotten smile is a sign of low birth, poverty, or sin. You've heard whispers about peasants with their foul mouths and missing teeth, so you clench your jaw, forcing yourself to smile wide only when absolutely necessary. Worse still, you wear dentures made of bone or ivory, uncomfortable and prone to slipping. Some of the wealthiest fashion faux pas involve false teeth fitted with gold wires. These are a status symbol, but biting into anything too hard might snap them on, then you must endure courtly ridicule. The sweet irony is that the more you indulge in sugar to signal your wealth, the faster your teeth decay. It's a vicious cycle, fueled by desire and desperation. Your mouth becomes a paradox, simultaneously a prize to be displayed and a source of deep shame. Now, imagine the stench. Despite the perfumed gloves and fragrant handkerchiefs, your breath is a battlefield of decay. Courtiers lean discreetly away during conversation, hiding their discomfort behind polite smiles. You learn to cover your mouth with a fan or a lace sleeve, hoping no one notices the sour odor. Some nobles try mouthwashes made from vinegar and mercury, both poisonous and harsh. They leave your mouth raw and your breath temporarily masked, but do nothing to solve the problem. It's all about appearance, not health. Behind closed doors, you hide the worst. You avoid mirrors when you can, ashamed of the crumbling ruins where your perfect smile once lived. But in public, you must perform. Every smile is an act of courage, a mask within a mask. And while your teeth rot away, your status remains intact. Because it's not the truth that matters, it's the story you tell the world with your smile. White powder for the face, sweetness for the teeth, and silence for the decay. Still, you don't stop there. Your hairline, too, demands attention. You pull, you pluck, you reshape because beauty never sleeps, and the race for perfection never ends. As you lift your gaze, you wonder how far you're willing to go. How much pain can you endure for a glimpse of grace? Let's trace your fingers through the hair you've pulled back tight and see what secrets lie beneath. You run your fingers along your hairline, pulling it back just a little more, inch by inch. A smooth, high forehead is the signature of nobility, a canvas that speaks of wisdom, purity, and privilege. But this beauty comes at a price. Every tug hurts. Every strand yanked risks tearing your delicate skin. Yet, you persist. The glamorous illusion is striking, polished, gleaming foreheads, hairline retreating as if kissed by the heavens. Portraits of noble women and men reveal an almost unnatural expanse of bare skin, highlighting their status and refinement. But the shocking reality is far less serene. To achieve this look, you pluck your hairline mercilessly. Sometimes you even shave or burn the edges to create a smoother, more elevated forehead. This practice isn't just vanity, it's a social signal. A broad forehead was associated with intelligence and nobility, a sign that you didn't labor under the sun or get your hands dirty. It's a visual announcement. You belong to the elite, free from the mundane worries of peasants. But why the obsession with this particular feature? Renaissance ideals were heavily influenced by classical art and philosophy. The perfect face was a balance of proportions, and the forehead played a crucial role in this geometry. The wider, the better. And since hair naturally grows low, you had to alter it artificially. The process was painful and sometimes damaging. Your scalp becomes red, irritated, even infected. Tiny wounds from plucking are common, and if you're unlucky, they fester. Still, the risks don't deter you. You endure the stinging pain because the social payoff is immense. Wigs enter the scene here, too. Some nobles, unable or unwilling to risk hair damage, opt for luxurious wigs designed to mimic this ideal high forehead. But natural hairlines remain the gold standard. Every hair pulled back is a testament to your dedication to appearance, to power. And the practice isn't limited to women. Men, especially those seeking court favor, also raise their hairlines, shaving or plucking to create that noble look. The lines between gendered beauty standards blur in this pursuit. But there's a darker undertone. The repeated trauma to your scalp can lead to hair loss, ironically undermining the very beauty you chase. Some women end up with permanently receding hairlines or patchy spots. It's a cruel irony that to look noble and perfect, you sometimes destroy your natural beauty. Your hands, often gloved in velvet or silk, become instruments of this painful craft, pulling each strand with delicate precision. You practice restraint, knowing that overzealous plucking will only harm your chances of a flawless appearance. You might also use irritating substances like mixtures of lime and ashes to delay hair regrowth. These concoctions burn your skin, but slow down hair, allowing you to maintain the ideal smoothness longer. The stinging sensation is a constant reminder of your sacrifice for beauty. Of course, the social pressure is immense. In court, every noblewoman is judged not only by her dress but by her hairline, her posture, her aura of effortless grace. The falter is to invite whispers and snide glances. Your pain is your secret, known only to you and perhaps a trusted handmaiden. You hide redness and flaking skin beneath veils or jeweled circlets. You learn to smile through the sting. And after all this, you don't just leave it there. The rituals continue with harsh baths and elaborate wig arrangements, each layer adding to the illusion of perfection, while reality beneath festers quietly. Speaking of baths, your next step in this beauty ritual takes you to steaming waters, sulfur, and scalding discomfort, a cleansing that's more punishment than pleasure. You step into a steaming bath, the air thick with sulfuric fumes that sting your eyes and burn your nostrils. The water is scalding, almost unbearably hot, and yet you sink into it willingly, hoping for purification. You imagine the steam lifting away impurities, cleansing your skin of its many sins, both real and imagined. But in reality, this sulfur bath is far from soothing. It's an ordeal you endure because society demands it. The glamorous illusion is a ritual of renewal, rich nobles slipping into fragrant, luxurious baths to wash away the dirt and fatigue of their days. A moment of decadence, a soothing escape. But the shocking truth. These baths are often filled with sulfur and other harsh chemicals that scorch the skin and aggravate wounds. The heat dries your already fragile complexion, and the sulfurs, strong odor, cling stubbornly to your skin, a pungent reminder of the lengths you go to for cleanliness. Why subject yourself to this torture? Hygiene in the Renaissance was complicated. Bathing was not frequent, and many believed that too much water could open the pores and let disease in. The miasma theory, this idea that disease came from bad smells and poisoned air, meant that water alone was not enough. You needed to bathe in substances believed to kill or repel harmful vapors. Sulfur was prized for its purifying qualities. Its smell was believed to cleanse not just the body, but the soul. Nobles paid a steep price for access to these baths, which were often communal and crowded, filled with steam and cries of discomfort. The heat was said to open pores and release toxins. But really, it left your skin raw and vulnerable. You bear the sting of the sulfur, the scratchy texture of mineral deposits drying on your skin afterward. The bath is less about comfort and more about performance, proof to others that you care for your body and soul, that you respect your rank by adhering to these rigorous rituals. And yet, you remain itchy, your skin peeling from harsh soaps and mineral waters. The bath's promise of purity is undercut by the reality of irritation and dryness. You wrap yourself in heavy, embroidered robes after, the fabric sticking unpleasantly to your heated skin. The bathhouse is also a social stage. You exchange whispered gossip with other nobles, all while enduring the discomfort together. The shared misery is part of the ritual bonding, the price of privilege. But the story doesn't end when you step out of the sulfuric steam. No, your hair, too, must withstand its own trial. That thick, styled mane you so carefully tend is often brittle from repeated washing with harsh substances. You might soak it in vinegar to remove oils and dirt, leaving it rough and brittle, or use mixtures that dry it out for styling purposes. And when your hair refuses to cooperate, wigs become your salvation or your prison. Elaborate, towering wigs hide the damage beneath. They smell faintly of powder, but beneath that powder lurk hidden guest lice, dust, and ancient secrets. So from your scalding bath to your powdered wig, the pursuit of purity is a painful, pungent, and persistent ordeal. Next, well, lift that wig carefully and peer beneath its grandeur to discover the creatures that share your beauty throne. You reach up and grasp your wig, a magnificent creation, piled high with curls, powdered white, and adorned with ribbons and jewels. For the casual observer, it's the pinnacle of elegance, a symbol of status and refinement. But beneath that elaborate structure, a hidden world teems with life, and not the kind you want sharing your scalp. The glamorous illusion is a crown of beauty and sophistication, crafted by the most skilled wig makers. These wigs are heavy, carefully styled, and scented with delicate perfumes to mask any underlying odors. Wearing one signals your place at court, your access to wealth, and your mastery of fashion. But the shocking reality: these wigs are often infested with lice, dust, and dandruff, tiny invaders thriving in the warm, dark nooks of your elaborate hairpieces. Lice are an unspoken fact of noble life. Despite the wealth and luxury, infestations are common. Wigs provide the perfect habitat for these pests, who feast on your scalp and leave itchy, irritating bites. Attempts to delouse often involve harsh powders and oils, some made with toxic ingredients like mercury or sulfur, which only add to the discomfort. You endure the itching, the scratching, the tiny bites you barely notice amid the grandeur. The servants assist in cleaning and powdering the wigs, but the pests are persistent, returning again and again. You're told that lice are a sign of humanity, everyone has them, but that hardly comforts you as you adjust your towering coiffure. Dust and dandruff collect in the folds of your wig, settling invisibly until your head itches uncontrollably. During long court sessions, the scent of the perfume mingles oddly with the faint musk of scalp oils and pest activity, creating an aroma that only the most oblivious could mistake for freshness. Why tolerate this? Because wigs are more than just fashion, they're protection. Your own hair, often damaged from plucking and harsh treatments, is hidden away. The wig conceals bald patches, greying strands, and scalp blemishes. It creates the illusion of youthful vitality and controlled power. Wearing a wig is also a political statement. It declares your allegiance to the latest royal fashions, your connection to the crown, and your social superiority. To go without one is to risk being seen as outdated or less refined. The weight of your wig is a constant reminder of your status and your sacrifice. It pulls on your neck and scalp, making long hours a test of endurance. You learn to move carefully, lest the whole structure shift or collapse. Sometimes, during grand events, the wigs are so elaborate they require small frames or wire supports hidden beneath. Beneath the powder and silk ribbons, your scalp suffers. You can feel it itch, flare, and sometimes break out in sores. The cycle of infestation, cleaning, and re-infestation repeats endlessly. And all the while, you keep your composure. No one must ever see the discomfort. The elegance must never falter. As you adjust your wig in the mirror, you spritz yourself with yet another perfume, this one stronger, designed to mask the musty scent that lingers beneath. Perfume, like powdered lead, is a double-edged sword. It promises beauty and freshness, but hides decay and danger. Next, well inhale those intoxicating scents and discover how the nobles fought invisible enemies with fragrant but deadly potions. You lift the delicate glass bottle to your lips, uncorking it with a practiced twist. A waft of floral and spice fills the air, a blend so rich it seems to erase the very notion of unpleasantness. You spritz the scented waters onto your skin, your clothes, even your gloves. The fragrance cloaks you like an invisible armor, a fragrant veil that announces your status and masks less savory truths. The glamorous illusion is intoxicating, delicate bouquets of rose, lavender, musk and amber lingering on noble skin, promising freshness, refinement and control. Perfume was an art form, a secret weapon in the court's arsenal, a sign that you had the leisure to bathe and beautify. But the shocking reality: many perfumes contained ingredients as toxic as the lead in your face powder. Ingredients like musk derived from animal glands or essences steeped in alcohol and sometimes even heavy metals coated your skin in potentially harmful substances. Worse yet, the perfumes weren't just about scent. They served a defensive purpose. The Renaissance worldview was steeped in the idea of miasma, belief that diseases spread through bad smells and poisonous air. Perfumes, sometimes so strong they nearly overwhelmed the senses, were thought to fend off these invisible threats. You douse yourself repeatedly, hoping to create a fragrant barrier against sickness. But here's the twist: the very perfumes you wear often contain noxious chemicals. Some formulations included mercury, lead acetate, or even arsenic to fix the scent and make it last longer. This means that while you breathe in the sweet notes of jasmine or violet, you're also inhaling a cocktail of poisons. Your skin absorbs them slowly, adding to the toxic load already accumulating from your makeup and bath rituals. The heavy scent also serves a practical role in society. Nobles rarely washed their hands, faces, or clothes thoroughly, as water was scarce and bathing was feared to open the pores to illness. Instead, scent was a must-can olfactory lie to the world. Your perfumed glove might brush a cheek or a hand, leaving a trace of fragrance designed to distract from odors born of unwashed skin, sweat, and decay. At grand balls and dinners, the air becomes a heady mixture of perfumes, wax, smoke from torches, and human bodies packed too close. Your nose adjusts, but beneath the beauty is a potent stew of smells both cultivated and accidental. There's a bitter irony here. The quest to avoid sickness through scent may have worsened health by exposing you to heavy metals and chemicals. Yet, in the social order of the time, appearance and smell were paramount. To be unperfumed was to be suspect, poor, or diseased. You might also carry a pomander, a small metal cage filled with aromatic herbs and spices dangling from your wrist or belt. These were portable scent shields, believed to purify the air around you. The sweet aroma was a comfort, a charm against illness, and a social signal. But not all perfumes were subtle or sweet. Some were downright overwhelming mixtures of rosewater and civet, musk and ambergris-scented weapons that filled a room and declared your presence. Wearing too little perfume was considered neglect. Wearing too much was a sign of desperation. As you dab the scented waters on your wrists and neck, you can almost forget the dangers beneath. But the truth lingers in the back of your mind. These beautiful bottles hold hidden poisons. Your next ritual brings more peril, delicately painting your eyes with powders that promise allure, but threaten your sight. You bring the small, ornate brush to your eyelids, carefully tracing a line along your lashes. The color is striking jet black, bold, and seductive. It frames your eyes perfectly, making them appear larger, more alive, more enchanting. You're the image of refined beauty, the star of the court's subtle seductions. But beneath this glamour lies a sharp danger that could rob you of the very gaze you cherish. The glamorous illusion is captivating. Bold, dark eyelashes and elegantly lined eyes, a subtle yet powerful enhancement of your natural features. It's a beauty statement, a magnetic allure and a marker of sophistication. But the shocking reality is that many eye cosmetics of the Renaissance were laced with toxic substances, especially lead and antimony, which could cause painful infections, skin ulcers, and even permanent blindness. The black pigment you apply, often called kohl or antimony-based powder, is made from ground minerals containing heavy metals. While the dark line along your lashes adds a dramatic effect, the powder seeps into your eyes, irritating them constantly. Tears burn. Your eyelids swell. Sometimes your vision blurs, and in worse cases, your eyes become so damaged that you lose sight entirely. You endure the stinging, because beauty demands sacrifice. You've heard stories of noble women whose eyes wept endlessly, who hid behind veils to conceal their suffering. Yet, the risk does not deter the desire for the perfect gaze. Why was this practice so widespread? The Renaissance fascination with classical beauty elevated expressive eyes. Eyes were windows to the soul, and to accentuate them was to command attention and respect. Moreover, the black lines framed the pale faces and powdered skin perfectly, creating striking contrast and drama. The use of lead and antimony was not a secret, but knowledge of their dangers was limited. The immediate benefits stark, lush lashes outweighed concerns about long-term damage. After all, beauty was a currency, and vision loss was a price many were willing to pay. You also might use crushed pearls or other precious minerals as eyeshadow or liner, which, while less toxic, were abrasive and damaging in their own way. Your makeup ritual includes not only application, but careful removal or at least attempts at it. Rubbing eyes after a day of heavy cosmetics is painful, your lids raw and sensitive. You might bathe your eyes in rose water or herbal infusions, hoping to soothe the inflammation, but relief is fleeting. Interestingly, the use of cosmetics was also intertwined with notions of morality and virtue. A woman who went without makeup risked being labelled dull or unkempt, but those who wore it excessively could be accused of vanity or even witchcraft. You walk a fine line, and while your eyes captivate the room, there's another subtle feature you manipulate to perfection: beauty spots, small dots of fabric or painted pigment placed precisely to enhance or distract. Fake moles or patches were all the rage, and their story is as curious as their placement. Let's take a closer look at those little dots that could hide shame, disguise disease, or flirt with danger. You press the tiny velvet patch against your cheek, smoothing its edges with a gentle fingertip. It's a perfect little mole strategically placed to draw the eye to your highest cheekbone or to the corner of your lip. To onlookers, it's a flirtatious accent, a playful note in your powdered face. But this innocent dot hides secrets of shame, disease, and desperation. The glamorous illusion is delightful. Those little beauty spots, or mouches, are chic adornments, imported from France or crafted by skilled seamstresses. They come in shapes beyond simple circle charts, stars, even crescents, each one carrying its own flirtatious meaning. A mole near your temple whispers of intelligence, one by the mouth hints at desire. Courtiers decode these signals like secret love letters, a silent language across the ballroom. But the shocking reality is that these patches are camouflage for far uglier marks: pockmarks from smallpox, scars from boils, sores from infections, or discolorations born of syphilis and other hidden ailments. You coat the back of each patch with a sticky mixture: rosewater, gum arabic, maybe a hint of vinegar to make it adhere all day. The paste feels tacky and cool against your skin. If you press too hard, it smears your powder. If you press too lightly, it may lift, betraying you mid-dance. You've learned to glide your fingertips ever so softly, lifting stray hairs and smoothing the edges. You wonder if anyone suspects that beneath these dainty dots lie the disfiguring marks you're desperate to conceal. The adhesive tugs at your skin when you peel the patch off at night, leaving a brief, red imprint, another secret of your beauty regimen. Why accept this practice? In Renaissance society, physical imperfections signified moral or social inferiority. A scarred face could mean poverty, illness, or divine punishment. Nobles believed that their bodies reflected their souls. To have blemishes was to flaunt impurity. Thus, these cosmetic patches became vital tools in the art of social survival. By placing a sweetheart near your brow, you're rewriting your story. No pox here, only love and courtly grace. Of course, patches come with their own hazards. The adhesives, often concocted in an apothecary's back room, aren't always sanitary. A dab of contaminated gum arabic can introduce bacteria to tiny cuts or lichen lesions, leading to fresh infection. You cover the patch anyway, preferring a fleeting risk of a sore to the permanent sight of pockmarks. And sometimes, you use patches not just to hide damage, but to draw attention away from worse. A bright dot above your lip distracts from the swelling of a painful boil beneath. You artfully position a star to conceal a raw, itchy patch of eczema brought on by all the sulfur baths and lead makeup. Your face becomes a map of misdirection, each patch a strategic checkpoint. Even the colour choices carry risk. Some dyes used to tint the fabric deep black, crimson redare made from arsenic-laced pigments. You don't question it. The richer and more vibrant the hue, the more prestigious the patch. You're betting that no one will notice when you inhale a trace of poison with every breath. In social gatherings, these mouches become conversation pieces. A patch in the shape of a half-moon near your temple evokes the mysteries of night, suggesting you're both elusive and enchanting. Loved ones leave discreet compliments. Your beauty spot suits. They coo, unaware that it's hiding your very real pain. But you know the truth each time you feel the tiny weight of silk or velvet against your skin. You know the itch when it catches on your glove. You know the pang when you remember what you've concealed. Beneath the velvet, your confidence trembles on the edge of exposure. Yet the practice persists generation after generation. You instruct your handmaiden in the delicate art of cutting and placing these patches, drawing on pattern books that detail the secret language of the mole. You memorize which cheek signifies marriage prospects and which corner of the mouth invites suitors. It becomes a dance of appearances, performed on the stage of your own face. And while you engage in this silent pantomime, the real dangers loom just beneath the surface. Those patched shadows may hide festering sores that could spread infection to others. A careless wipe of your glove could transfer bacteria to a noble friend unthinkable. So you keep your distance, a stiff courtesy born of fear as much as rank. By bedtime, you gingerly peel away each patch, inspecting your skin in the dim light. The pale circle left behind is proof of another performance. You smooth on a salver perhaps a mixture of honey and crushed herbs to soothe the irritation. Tomorrow, the cycle begins anew. Powder, rouge, patches, and the endless art of concealment. But as you rise from your vanity, ready to cinch your waist into steel and silk, you realize that every beautiful dot has been a tiny betrayal. Each patch shields you from the gaze of the world, even as it keeps you from seeing yourself clearly. Next, we'll lace ourselves into steel and silk where beauty is bound so tightly it crushes the soul. You stand before the full-length mirror, fingers hovering over the rows of lacing at the back of your gown. Beneath the silks and velvets lies your true foundation, a tightly boned corset that molds your body into the coveted hourglass silhouette. You slip your arms through the shoulder straps, and a servant begins the slow, deliberate task of cinching each lace, pulling tighter with every tug until your waist feels as though it's being drawn through the eye of a needle. You gasp for breath, but you dare not complain. The goal of a tiny waist is worth every shallow inhale. The glamorous illusion is irresistible, a slender midsection that contrasts the wide skirts and padded hips of your gown, creating a dramatic visual impact worthy of courtly admiration. Portraits present a figure so impossibly small at the waist it seems otherworldly, as though sculpted by angels rather than human hands. The corset is the secret weapon, a structure of whalebone or stiffened leather that shapes flesh into art. When you glide into a room, your posture is perfect, your form commanding. You appear fragile and refined, as if a mere breath could shatter your porcelain symmetry, but in reality, you are a testament to endurance. The shocking reality, however, is that this beauty comes at a terrible cost. The corset compresses your ribs, displacing organs and restricting lung capacity. As the laces tighten, your diaphragm is forced upward, making each breath shallow. Your heart pounds in your chest, racing to compensate for the lack of oxygen. Day after day, hour after hour, you endure this constriction, believing that pain is merely part of nobility's price. Bones don't bend easily, but soft tissues do. Over time, your internal organs shift. Your stomach is pressed downward, which can lead to digestive distress, heartburn, indigestion, even fainting during grand events when the music swells and your pulse rises. You learn to manage these symptoms quietly, a small sip of wine to ease the ache, a discreet pinch of aromatic herbs to settle your nerves. But there's no real relief until the laces are loosened at night, and even then, your body screams with gratitude for the freedom of expansion. Why endure such torture? In Renaissance society, the human form was judged by its shape. Influenced by classical art, figures drawn by masters like Titian and Michelangelo glorified curves and proportion. A tiny waist signified femininity, virtue, and social superiority. It was the ultimate signifier that you lived a life of leisure, unburdened by labour that would burn calories and alter your figure. To reject the corset was to reject the very code of nobility. Moreover, the corset was more than fashion, it was a symbol of discipline and control. You prove your worth by how tightly you can lace yourself, how well you can endure discomfort without faltering. Your willingness to suffer for beauty demonstrates your commitment to the social order. It's an unspoken test. Those who can't bear the binding are deemed weak or vulgar. And it's not just physical pain you endure. Your corset changes the way you move. You learn to take smaller steps, to glide rather than stride, to pivot at the hip instead of bending your waist. Dancing becomes an athletic feat of grace under constraint. You memorize routines that allow you to curtsy without collapsing, to sit without the bones digging into your back or hips. Every gesture is calibrated to maintain the illusion of effortlessness. There are darker consequences, too. Some physicians of the time warn that corseting can lead to fainting spells, miscarriages, and even permanent deformities of the spine and ribcage. But such warnings are whispered only in private. You dismiss them, attributing your dizziness to nerves or the heat of the ballroom. And besides, pain is part of the package. You remind yourself that a small waist is a weapon of social capital. It grants invitations to exclusive gatherings, flattery in shadowed corridors, and the power to make alliances that shape dynasties. Yet, the corset's hold extends beyond your body, it infiltrates your mind. You begin to judge yourself not as you are, but as you appear when tightly cinched. Your self-worth becomes tied to a number on a measuring tape. In moments of solitude, you find yourself unconsciously pressing your hands to your waist, testing for tightness, seeking reassurance that your form still meets the standard. At night, when the laces finally loosen and you collapse onto your bed, relief washes over you in a rush. But by morning, the memory of that freedom fades, replaced by the familiar thrill of transforming into your courtly self. The ritual is both agony and ecstasy, pain and power, bound together like the laces that cinch your torso. And though you emerge from your chambers adorned in silk and steel, your body subtly rearranged by the corset's shape, you know that this is only one layer of your carefully constructed persona. Next, you'll hide the everyday grime on your hands behind perfumed gloves, another mask in this endless pageant. Your servant holds out a pair of scented gloves. As you slip them on, you steel yourself for the next act of concealment, a ritual as fraught with contradiction as the corset itself. You lift your hand, encased in a fine leather glove, and press it gently against the edge of a gilded table. The glove's surface is supple, smooth, and carries a faint whisper of rosewater and civet. It feels luxury as an extension of your elegance that shields the world from the less delightful truths beneath. The slip into these scented gloves is to transform your hands from instruments of labour into tokens of nobility. Yet, underneath this fragrant barrier, your fingers bear the grime and secrets of a lifetime of concealed dirt. The glamorous illusion is flawless, pale, delicate hands free of stains, calluses, or the slightest speck of unseemly soil. In portraits, nobles flaunt these gloves like jewels, a clear signal that they've never touched a plough, a mop, or a hammer. Gloved hands, resting lightly on a velvet armrest or delicately holding a fan, are images of refined leisure, proof that you exist in a world apart from the physical hardships of the common folk. But the shocking reality is that your hands are anything but clean. You seldom wash them. Fresh water is scarce, and the prevailing wisdom warns that water opens your pores to disease. Instead, you rely on your gloves to keep your hands from the world, and the world from your hands. Beneath the leather, sweat, dead skin, and layers of perfume mix into a grimy concoction that occasionally threatens to irritate your skin. Sometimes you feel a tingle or a rash where the glove rubs too tightly, but you press on, unwilling to sacrifice the illusion. Why avoid washing? The miasma theory that bad airs carry sicknesholds, that water weakens your body's defences. A quick rinse in lukewarm water is believed to wash away vital humours. So instead of cleansing, you dust your hands with scented powders, rose dust, orris root, lavender, hoping the fragrance serves as a shield. The gloves become mobile scent diffusers, keeping the world at bay. And gloves aren't just about hygiene. They are political tools. To shake hands or touch another without gloves is almost unthinkable. Touching skin reveals your humanity and vulnerability. The glove left behind at a gathering is a potent symbol, an invitation to whisper about gentility or its absence. You intentionally drop one now and then, an excuse for a suitor to retrieve it, to steal a moment of contact, all while maintaining the decorum of separation. Your gloves are changed multiple times throughout the day, a porcelain white pair in the morning, a pastel-hued pair for tea, velvets for evening. Each is perfumed differently, carefully chosen to complement your gown and mood. You inhale the faint scent as you put them on: patchouli for confidence, rose for flirtation, jasmine for mystery. Yet, when you finally remove your gloves in private, there's surprise. The leather often sticks to your skin, forming a tacky film. You lift the glove slowly, peeling it back as though unveiling a secret. The skin beneath is red, damp, and sometimes marked by tiny blisters from friction. You dab it with a small cloth soaked in vinegar, a harsh remedy that stings but feels necessary to avoid worse afflictions, or so you believe. And here's the truth no one mentions. Over time, the lack of proper washing and the constant exposure to scented oils can lead to fungal infections or dermatitis. You hear rumors of nobles whose hands crack and bleed, whose nails lift at the bed, yet they cling to their gloves, fearing the judgment that would come from bare, calloused fingers. In social settings, the gloves remain on. You refuse to remove them at dinner, allowing your servant to lift cups and pass dishes on your behalf. Even the simple act of sipping tea becomes a performance, gloved fingers hovering inches from fine china, never touching it directly. You've mastered these motions: the slight tilt of the wrist, the dainty pinch of the napkin, the soft flex of those hidden fingers. Your gloves also conceal evidence of other practices. Perhaps you've used a scented pomander in your other hand, rubbing it discreetly against the leather to freshen the air around you. Or maybe you've applied a thin layer of lead-based powder on your fingertips to ensure your gloves remain immaculately white, another layer of concealment atop another. And yet, no glove can hide your mouth. The conversation shifts to compliments on your hand, show delicate and your gloves are. They murmur, but eventually someone will ask you to speak closer, to share a private thought, and that is when your breath betrays you. Your lips part, and you feel the sting of vinegar on your tongue from the last rinse. You clutch at a lace handkerchief, pressing it to your mouth to stave off suspicion. But perfume can only do so much. Soon, it will be time for your midday ritual, a gargle with a potent, mercurous mouthwash, the taste of which lingers far longer than you'd like. You cradle a small, dark vial in your gloved hand, uncorking it with delicate precision. A pungent vapor rises, sharp, acrid, metallic. You unglove your fingers just enough to tilt the vial toward your lips and tip a few drops into your mouth. Instantly, your tongue recoils from the bitter sting. You swish the foul-tasting liquid around, feeling it burn the back of your throat, then carefully spit it into a gilt basin. This is your noble morning ritual, a mouthwash of mercury and vinegar, an alchemical cure for the decay that threatens your smile. The glamorous illusion is pristine. Nobles are said to possess not just perfect teeth but immaculately fresh breath, a delicate bouquet of rose water and exotic spices. Courtiers lean in to hear your whispers, captivated by the idea that your mouth could rival the finest garden in bloom. In paintings, no brushstroke suggests the slightest hint of foulness, only elegance and refined sensibility. But the shocking reality is a bracing cocktail of poisons. Mercury, prized for its purported antiseptic powers, mingles with harsh vinegar to score your gums and teeth. You believe it kills the bacteria that feast on your enamel, preventing cavities and foul breath. Instead, it slowly corrodes your mouth, eating away at soft tissue, eroding enamel and seeping into your bloodstream. Your gums recede, nodules form along your tongue's edge, and your teeth ache with a deep, relentless throb. Yet you continue, convinced the agony is worth the illusion. Why would you tolerate this nightly ordeal? In a world where dental care is rudimentary at best, and rotten teeth are considered evidence of vice or low birth, even a hint of bad breath can ruin your reputation. Gum disease and cavities are seen as moral failings. Proof you indulge in sinful sweets and neglect your body. To mask the rot, you rely on this brutal rinse, trusting the wisdom of alchemists and court physicians who promise salvation in every bitter drop. The vinegar helps the mercury linger, opening microscopic crevices between tooth and gum. Feel it fizz and hiss, loosening years of plaque along with any semblance of comfort. Your tongue grows numb, and you notice the faint glimmer of blood when you dab it with a cloth afterward. But all that matters is the cover it provides. Friends and rivals alike remark on your vitality, unaware of the price you pay beneath the surface. In private, you examine your reflection in a hand mirror, lifting your lips to check for coppery stains or fresh sores. You dab your gums with rosewater to soothe the sting, massaging in a paste of crushed mint leaves and sugar to offer a fleeting reprieve. The fresh taste lingers only momentarily before the mercurial bite returns at your next wash. The interplay of fear and desire drives you onward. Fear of social ruin, of whispers calling you diseased, and desire for that perfect fade. Your mouth becomes a battleground where toxins clash against bacteria, and you stand at the center, fragile and determined. Of course, there's a tragic irony here. The very substance meant to protect you may be poisoning you. Mercury is a slow predator, creeping through your veins, depositing in your organs, wool gathering in your mind. You dismiss those faint headaches, the tremor in your hands, the sudden bouts of melancholy. These are the hidden tolls of your beauty ritual, secrets you bury beneath layers of powder and lace. You might think yourself alone in this torture, but you're part of a vast, silent network of nobles united by shared suffering. Physicians whisper in royal chambers, trading notes on new formulas. Courtiers swap recipes in hushed tones, each hoping to find a blend stronger or less painful than the last. Yet, none admit the full horrors. To do so would invite panic, and naked truth is far more dangerous than poisoned breath. Between swallows of fragrant tea and sips of claret, you schedule your rinses meticulously. Morning, before the first mirror glance, midday, discreetly behind a tapestry, evening, in candlelit solitude. The ritual is your secret oath to perfection, a vow to endure whatever it takes. And even as you polish your image with this corrosive potion, you remember another, more ritualistic form of self-harm awaiting you, the prick of a needle for that coveted flush of health. Soon, you will bleed yourself a performance of vitality, a paradoxical pursuit of beauty through anemia. But first, you rinse again, tasting vinegar and metal on your tongue, recalling the feel of fresh mint and rosewater that barely masks the truth. In a little while, you will draw that first drop of blood. You settle into your dressing chair, sleeves rolled to your elbows, heart fluttering with a mix of anticipation and dread. In your lap rests a slender lancet, gleaming steel honed to a fine point. Nearby, a small pewter dish awaits the crimson reward of your ritual. Today, like so many before it, you will bleed yourself in pursuit of the perfect, rosy flush that defines noble health. This is no mere cosmetic touch-up. It is an intimate dance with your own lifeblood. The glamorous illusion is that of a vibrant, natural glow, cheeks touched by morning dew, lips rosy as ripe cherries, skin suffused with vitality. Portraits of noble women showcase that subtle blush, the suggestion of well-balanced humours and robust health. Observers marvel at how fresh you appear even in candlelit halls and drafty galleries, casting you as a picture of youthful vigour. A rosy cheek implies a body in harmony, free from the pallor of lead, the pall of illness, or the fatigue of labour. But the shocking reality is more visceral. You prick the delicate vein in your inner arm, pressing the lancet until it breaks the skin. You feel that tiny stinger, sharp reprieve followed by the warm trickle of blood. You lean over the pewter dish, watching those dark droplets pool, each one a brutal testament to what you endure. The iron tang fills your mouth as a stray drop springs free, and you can't help but taste it briefly before it slides away. Beneath the veneer of beauty lies a body willingly wounded, a sacrifice made for a fleeting fade. Why would you embrace such pain? Because Renaissance medicine is governed by the theory of humours, blood, flickering, black bile and yellow bile must remain in balance. Health, and by extension beauty, depends on this equilibrium. Too much blood leads to fever and agitation, too little, and you risk melancholy and lethargy. By intentionally withdrawing blood, you align your humours, banish supposed toxins, and coax your skin into that coveted flush. The blush is proof of proper balance, an advertisement of your mastery over nature in nature's obeisance to your status. The procedure is precise. Use a cleaned blade, often sterilised in hot coals or vinegar, to ensure only a modest flow. Too much blood, and you may faint, or worse, invite weakness that could compromise your entire season at court. Too little, and the desired pink hue never materialises. Timing is crucial. You bleed yourself just hours before a grand event so that your cheeks glow at their peak when you enter the hall. It is both science and art, a ritual passed down by apothecaries and courtiers alike. You endure the sting, the slow pulse of warmth spreading beneath your skin. As the blood drains, a lightness courses through your limbs, a fleeting euphoria, a hint of dizziness that you mask with breathing exercises and a stiff posture. You press a cloth soaked in cold rosewater to your arm afterward, soothing the wound even as you hope the bite will leave no scar. Several minutes later, you run to the mirror, tilting your head to catch the right angle of light. There it is, just enough redness, a glow that seems wholly natural. Of course, the ritual carries risks. You might misjudge the cut and sever too deep, leading to swelling, infection, or abscess. If you bleed too frequently, anemia sets in, fatigue, palpitations, and brittle nails become your hidden companions. Some nobles whisper of women who grow faint in the halls, daughters who never recover their strength, spirits drained as surely as their veins. Yet knowledge of these tragedies rarely deters others. After all, such tales are framed as cautionary myths rather than proof of excess. Beyond the physical, there's a psychological dimension. The act of bleeding yourself becomes a demonstration of nobility's self-control. You prove your resilience, your willingness to harness nature for artifice. Each drop is a statement. You wield power over your own body, just as your family wields power over land and people. The humoral theory grants cosmic justification. You are not vain, you are scientific. And as the blush takes hold, you prepare for the final touch, a layer of cosmetic rouge to deepen the colour, to ensure that your cheeks remain radiant under the glare of torches and crystal chandeliers. But the base layer must come from within, from your own blood, or else risk appearing artificial and suspect. Dappled light filters through stained glass windows as you slip into your gown, the corset once again cinched tight, the gloves in place, the patches set just so. Your blush gleams like polished porcelain, a silent testament to the ritual you performed hours ago. Courtiers will comment on your healthy glow, on how well you wear fatigue and ever knowing the blade you wielded in private. Every gesture you make is imbued with the afterglow of your sacrifice. When you curtsy, the faint hint of dizziness adds grace to your movements, lending an ethereal quality to your carriage. You catch a glimpse of yourself in a gilded mirror and marvel at the transformation, from veiled suffering to flawless presentation in just a few deliberate cuts. Yet even as you bask in the admiration, a memory lingers of the warm liquid on your skin, the echo of pain in your arm, the subtle tremor in your hand. The ritual will recur, season after season, each time reinforcing the bond between suffering and beauty, control and display, life and artifice. Soon, the final act awaits, the ceremonial application of crushed gems, grinding rubies into powder to adorn your cheeks and collarbones, a deadly, dazzling tribute to your noble station. You settle at your dressing table, a small mortar of polished alabaster cradled in your lap. In your hand rests a handful of brilliant red rubies, gifts from distant mines, their glittering facets proof of your family's wealth and influence. With the pestil's smooth weight, you begin to crush the gems, red dust swirling around you like crushed roses. You plan to mix that powder into your cosmetics, to brush it across your cheeks and colletage, capturing light in a way no vegetal dye or mineral pigment can replicate. It is the ultimate display of status. Not only can you afford such treasures, you can destroy them for the sake of your beauty. But as the stones shatter beneath your touch, your skin cries out literally. The glamorous illusion is dazzling, the finest gem. Powders catch the candlelight, making your skin sparkle with an otherworldly glow. Painted into your rouge, the crushed gems create a rubescent sheen that no simple red ochre can match. With each flicker of torchlight, your cheeks appear to shimmer, as if lit from within. Portraitists capture that effect, rendering you in paint as a living jewel in human form, an embodiment of opulence and prestige. But the shocking reality is cruel. Rubies are hard enough to scratch glass, their powder is abrasive against your tender skin. When you apply the gem-infused rouge with a soft brush, it tears at the surface of your cheeks, leaving tiny microcuts that weep clear fluid. Those cuts sting when the powder settles into them, mingling with lead-based makeups and acidic fixatives to cause inflammation. You might feel a burning sensation that spreads across your temples, a rash of pinpoint bleeding that quickly crusts with fine, glittering dust. Why undertake such pain? In Renaissance society, appearances were currency. To demonstrate you possessed literal gemstones you could pulverize for cosmetics was to shout your power. Ordinary dire saffron, madder, cinnabar were cheap by comparison. Only the highest echelon could turn their rewards of courtly favor, diplomatic gifts, or conquest into ephemeral beauty marks. It wasn't vanity, it was economic display, a clear signal that even your cosmetics were built on uncompromising wealth. Beyond status, There was also a belief in the mystical properties of gems. Alchemists and physicians claimed that ruby powder had virtues. It promoted circulation, strengthened the heart, and infused the skin with vitality. When mixed into rouge, it supposedly drove out melancholia and injected your demeanor with natural cheer, proof that the physical and spiritual realms were intertwined. Gem powder was not mere decoration. It was a potion for well-being, backed by the authority of learned men in black robes. So, you persevere, crushing each garnet, ruby, or tourmaline nugget in turn, despite the grinding pain in your palms and the inflammatory sting on your cheeks. You've meticulously measured the ratio, just enough gem to stand out, not so much that the cuts become obvious. Too much, and the abrasions would bleed visibly, drawing unwelcome concern. Too little, and the effect would be lost in the flickering gloom. Once the powder is mixed into your rouge base of wax, lead, and oil, you dab it onto your skin with a lamb's hair brush, starting at the apples of your cheeks and sweeping upward toward your temples. The glittering flecks catch every torch beam, each shimmer a testament to the destructive luxury at your command. But as you smooth the color, you notice the tiny lines of red where the patches of skin have torn. You press gently, hoping to redistribute the dye and mask the wounds. When you finish, your face is a study in contradictions, illuminated yet injured, precious yet painful. At court, under the vaulted ceilings of the great hall, you move among the lamps and chandeliers. You feel the heat of 100 eyes upon you, the hum of whispered praise and envy. Their cheeks glow like embers. They murmur, unaware that it is not embers but blood and crushed gemstones fueling your radiance. You imagine their astonished faces, how they must marvel at such unearthly perfection. No one suspects the sting behind each smile, but there's always a flicker of guilt. You recall the long journey of those rubies from the dark, dangerous mines where labourers toiled under threat of collapse and theft to the hands of merchants to your table at court. Each fragment of gemstone is a story of toil, danger, and cost. And yet, here they lie, ground to dust, pressed into your skin. The cruelty echoes on your cheeks, hidden beneath layers of opulence. Your hand lingers at the edge of your mirror. You smooth a stray fold of lace, admire the way the gem dust refracts the light. Still, the pain pulses beneath. A reminder that beauty is often built on suffering, both yours and that of countless others. You close your eyes, willing the sting to fade into sensationless glamour. As you step away from the mirror, you feel the press of your corseted waist, the scratch of your scented glove, the rough edges of your beauty patches still tucked beneath their velvet. You are a living ornament, a mosaic of luxury and agony. Now, with your cheeks alight and your jewels destroyed, you prepare for the final illumination of your person, ensuring that no hint of sweat betrays your labour. You reach for a slice of fresh citrus lemon or orange, planning to tuck it beneath your arms. It is the last act in this theatre of concealment, a fragrant wedge to chase away the odour of exertion. Soon, you will discover that even this simple fruit holds its own bittersweet secrets. You slip a wedge of bright yellow lemon into your silken shift, tucking it snugly beneath each arm just above your corseted waist. The fruit's zesty scent mingles with your floral perfume, promising an illusion of unassailable freshness. In the soft candlelight, you glide through corridors, your arms at ease, every movement exuding effortless grace. To the casual observer, you are the very portrait of refined cleanliness, an aristocrat untouched by the base realities of sweat and odor. But beneath that citrus shield lies a sticky, stinging secret you dare not reveal. The glamorous illusion is simple, lemon halves pressed into the hollows beneath your arms, serving as noble deodorants. The cool flesh of the fruit absorbs moisture, neutralizes sour notes, and leaves a pleasant tang of citrus on your skin. In aristocratic circles, this practice is touted as an elegant, natural alternative to coarse powders and harsh washes. It's a quiet triumph over bodily humours, an intimate ritual of self-care that sets you apart from the unwashed masses. But the shocking reality is far less idyllic. As the evening wears on, the lemon's juices seep through your shift, mingling with your unseen perspiration. The acidic fruit, meant to banish odours, begins to ferment against your warm skin, creating a brackish brew that stings like salt in a wound. Each small bead of sweat that escapes your corset drips down into the citrus, turning the bright wedges into sticky pools of fermenting pulp. You feel faint twinges of irritation where the acid touches your tender underarms, tiny red welts appearing by the time you reach the great hall. Why rely on lemon when you could simply wash? Because water, it's said, invites disease through open pores. Better to mask the stench than risk your humours running rampant. Moreover, the citrus is a statement of privilege. Only those with access to exotic fruits imported from Mediterranean groves at great expense can claim such a sophisticated deodorant. Peasants dab their armpits with coarse powders or dirty rags. You wield nature's finest, a statement of wealth distilled in every fragrant drop. But there's more. The lemon halves, once inserted, must stay in place until you find a private moment to replace them. Courtiers regard any visible fruit with suspicion. Only a deft hand can swap wedges without drawing attention. You master the art of the discreet snatch, slipping behind a tapestry, unlacing your gloves just enough to extract the spent wedges, and slapping in fresh ones. It's a delicate choreography, a secret performance hidden beneath layers of silk. And yet, despite your best efforts, the reality seeps through. The sticky juice attracts flies and small insects drawn to the fermenting sugars. You find yourself twitching, beckoned by an errant gnat or fly that lands on the lemon's surface. A gentle wave of your hand, gloved of course, sends your tiny pest out of sight, but you cannot shake the feeling that unseen eyes have caught the motion. A buzzing interruption at court could shatter the illusion. Furthermore, the lemon's acid, while meant to conquer odor, also strips away the thin barrier of your skin's natural oils. Over time, your underarms grow raw, chafing against the tight fabric of your shift and corset. You wake some mornings to a faint burning sensation, a reminder of last night's fragrant folly. To soothe the irritation, you apply a paste of crushed herbs and honey, a sticky balm that adds another layer of odor, albeit sweet, to your nightly repertoire. Despite these risks, the practice persists, because it aligns with Renaissance beliefs about balance and refinement. May mask the noxious airs of decay thought to cling to the unwashed body. Citrus, with its sharp scent, is believed to cut through these harmful vapors, offering a fragrant barrier against invisible disease. The more potent the aroma, the stronger the defense. So you layer your perfumes, powders and citrus wedges, building an olfactory fortress around yourself. Socially, the lemon slices serve as a subtle status marker, a well-placed wedge, barely peeking from beneath lace, signals you have the means and leisure to indulge in such exotic luxuries. Gentle compliments follow flirtatious glances. Your citrus is divine, a suitor might whisper, unaware of the rot beneath the rind. The praise feeds your need for approval, even as you endure the acidic burn. Modern ears might recoil at the idea of fruit as deodorant, but in your world, it is the height of sophistication. You trust apothecaries who praise citrus virtues, just as you trust perfumers who promise safety in every spritz of musk. The contradictions blur. Water is poison, perfume is panacea, lemon is both cure and curse. And you move through this web of beliefs, weaving your own narrative of purity and power. As the final strains of courtly music echo through the hall, you feel a sharp twinge in your underarms, a dance of pain to accompany the dance of court. You remind yourself that appearance is everything, that discomfort is merely the cost of admission. You dip one hand behind it, tapestry, swapping lemon wedges with practiced ease, then return to the ballroom with a serene smile. The night concludes, and you retreat to your private chambers. You remove the wedges, peeling them away with a quietly triumphant sigh. Sticky pulp clings to your fingertips, and you wipe it on a cloth, the tang of citrus lingering in the air. You pause to admire the last glow of candlelight on the empty rind before washing your hands briefly with a damp cloth, careful not to open your pores. Soon, you will slip into bed, exhausted and fragrant, your body still humming with the echoes of palace intrigue. But even in sleep, the cycle continues. Your pillows laced with perfume sachets await, harbouring the detritus of generations of nobles. You will lay your head on velvet and lace, unaware of the tiny creatures lurking in the seams. Tomorrow, you will rise and begin again with powder, rouge, patches, corsets, gloves and citrus, each layer a testament to your station and your suffering. And as your weary eyes close, you'll feel that final pang, the soft whisper of a lemon wedge's memory against your skin, a reminder that beauty's sweetest tools often harbour the most bitter truths. You ease yourself onto the opulent mattress, the heavy brocade of your gown rustling against the pale linens. Candles gutter in the corners as you sink into plush pillows, embroidered with silks and perfumed sachets of lavender and rose. In this moment, you believe yourself enveloped in serenity, a noble at rest, untouched by the sordid realities of the common world. Yet as you close your eyes, thousands of tiny legs stir beneath you, and the plush haven becomes a breeding ground for creatures you cannot see. The glamorous illusion is restful slumber among the finest bedding, mattress ticks stuffed with feathers, pillows fluffed by loyal servants, sheets laundered with fragrant waters. You imagine drifting off, the scent of herbs lulling you into peaceful dreams. This sanctuary proclaims your leisure and refinement, a final testament to your elevated status at the end of each day. But the shocking reality is that these sumptuous retreats are crawling with life fleas, fleas, bedbugs and mites, all thriving in the warmth your body provides. Feather-stuffed mattresses are prime real estate for pests, and even perfumed sachets cannot repel them fully. You feel the occasional tickle on your skin, a tiny sensation you attribute to a stray hair until you catch a glimpse of a minuscule insect scuttling across the linen. Your heartbeat quickens, but you dare not disturb the perfection of the moment. Why tolerate such infestations? Bathing was infrequent, and bedding was expensive to replace. Nobles kept their linens for weeks or months, airing them only when absolutely necessary. The belief that water and freshness invited disease kept you from washing sheets regularly. Instead, you placed fragrant herbs, mugwort, wormwood, rosemary between layers of fabric, trusting their aroma to ward off miasmas and pests. Yet the pests remained, hidden in crevices and seams, emerging under cover of darkness to feast on your blood. You lie still, feigning tiredness, as bedbugs slip from seams to bite your shoulders, back, and ankles. Their puncture marks swell into itchy welts by morning, but during the night, their tiny fangs work silently. Lice scuttle across the pillow's edge, clinging to stray fibers, while mites burrow into the down, invisible to the naked eye. The perfumed sachets and symbols of your refinement become futile reminders of the fragility of your fade. In the cold hush, you prick your conscience. These pests know no social boundaries. They accompany ambassadors from distant courts. They attend grand balls and whispered councils. Yet the shame of admitting their presence is profound. To confess lice is to admit uncleanliness, to risk the judgment of one's peers. Better to endure the itch, the restless sleep, and the hidden bites than face the scandal of infested chambers. Some nobles resort to drastic measures, scattering burnt brimstone under the mattress, fumigating chambers with smoke so thick it chokes, or even lining the bed frame with poison-laced powders. These methods often prove more harmful to health than the pests themselves, sending noxious fumes into your lungs and staining fine tapestries. And still, the creatures survive, adapting to each assault in an endless arms race of scent and smoke. Yet, the nightly ordeal yields a perverse intimacy with your own body. You become attuned to every twitch, every ripple of fabric, every prick of sensation. You learn to shift with caution, to avoid biting zones until the dawn's first light. You stiffen your posture to minimize contact, arching your back slightly as if perched on a throne rather than lying flat on a bed. When pre-dawn finally arrives, you slip from the sheets, nimble as a cat avoiding hot coals. You brush your garments with a linen cloth-lint roller before it's time to snatch away any lingering hitchhikers. Your handmaiden stands ready to launder your night clothes, though she knows those garments will soon return, infested once again, to the chamber. And yet, the routine persists. You replace the herbs in your sachets, rotate fresh sprigs of lavender and rosemary, and whisper silent prayers for a pest-free night. Your final glance at the chamber's flickering candles is a moment of bittersweet hope. You long for purity, but you know the cycle will restart with tonight's return to these velvet sheets. As you step away from the bed, you carry the weight of this secret. The most private sanctuary in your world is anything but clean. The brilliance of your powdered skin, the sheen of your gem-dusted rouge, the crispness of your perfumed gloves all find their counterpart in the hidden torment of these linens. And so you steel yourself for another evening's performance, another descent into the soft illusion that awaits your body, a beacon for tiny invaders in a bed that promises rest but delivers discomfort. The final act in this night-long ritual is a reminder that beneath every layer of luxury lies a world you cannot fully control. As you drift away from the echoes of palace life, imagine the flicker of candlelight softening every harsh edge. The tapestries on the wall soften into shadows, and the plush bed beneath you seems weightless. Each breath you take is slow, measured, and gentle, like the rise and fall of delicate petals in a whispering breeze. The hidden world of insects, the sting of acidic fruit, the tight hold of your corstral fade into the background, mere ripples in a tranquil sea. Remember that beauty, as relentless as it can be, is also fleeting. The powders will wash away, the rouge will fade, and the scents will dissipate with dawn's first light. But in this moment, you have earned your respite. Let the scent of lavender soothe your mind. Let the touch of cool linens cradle your body. You are more than an image. You are the breath between heartbeats, the pause between whispers. Picture the soft hum of distant music, the gentle rustle of silk, the muted sigh of satisfied dreamers slipping into stories of their own making. Allow the world to recede, to become a distant tapestry that you admire from afar. Your trials, your elaborate masks, your hidden wounds, they all belong to another time, another life. Tonight, you exist only in calm softness, in the hush of gentle darkness. And as your eyelids grow heavy, may your dreams be of whispered secrets, of fragrant gardens in moonlight, of warm sunlight that greets you at morning without pain or pretense. Rest now, my dear friend, for you have endured the weight of artifice and emerged into a moment of pure, unguarded peace.